right? Okay, it's just now 6:30. So I'm gonna let you know kind of how this is gonna go for the next 15, 20 minutes, okay? So you're gonna need to have a space that you can lie down and move comfortably. You don't need a ton of space, just enough space maybe for your arms to stretch out when you're laying on your back. And I'd like for you to have something under your head for cushion, but not too much elevation, okay? Not too much elevation is really important. So this practice is only, sometimes I get a little long-winded, but this practice should really only be about 15, 20 minutes tops. And then afterwards, if you have any questions, I'm gonna come back and we can chat if you have any questions, okay? So I'll stop my soon, and then we're gonna get moving. Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in live. I super, super appreciate it. Always, always. Um, okay, so let's get started. As I said before, you just need a place to lie down. You're welcome to use a yoga mat. You're welcome to lay in your bed, whatever is the most comfortable for you. And let's get started. And I'm going to show you this really cool practice. So, this is a lesson that I have adapted from Feldenkrais method, which is my primary somatics tradition that I teach from and also that I practice myself. Um, so when you're ready, you're going to lay down with your head resting on something not too thick. You're going to come on down and make sure that your head isn't super elevated. It's about at the same height as the rest of your spine, but there is a little bit of cushion there. And then if you'd like, you can have your legs stretched out long. If you need to, though, if it's most comfortable for you to have your feet flat, that's totally fine. I want you to do that, okay? And so we'll begin practice with a moment of awareness. And if you're like most people, this may be the first time all day that you've actually paid attention to your body just as it is. And as we look upon this body, we try to have a little bit of benevolence, a little bit of compassion, and as much objectivity as possible. In other words, if you notice something that you're not particularly crazy about, maybe you feel stiff or something hurts, try not to get spun up into it. Instead, look upon it as you would a child, with love, with care, and with a sincere desire to help. Now start to notice your breath. Notice where you feel expansion from your breathing and then a collapse. Maybe you feel your belly rise and fall. Maybe you feel the relationship between your lumbar spine and the floor change. And notice the right side of your pelvis as it's resting on the floor. And if you find discomfort there, again, let's try to be objective. We won't spin into it. We'll notice it. And then compare it to the left side. Probably one side feels a little heavier. Maybe one side feels easier. Maybe one side feels like it's in a shadow. This is all normal. Now start to creep your feet a little bit closer together on your mat. And if you're not standing flat on your mat, now's the time. And once your feet are close together and your knees are close together, you're going to just pull your right knee in toward your chest and then use your hands to organize the right thigh across the left thigh. So not ankle over thigh, but thigh over thigh. So if you look at those two legs, there's no daylight in between, okay? And then reach your two arms out to the sides and just the tiniest bit tilt to the right. Don't go very far. Don't go very far. And then come right back to the center. Tilt just a little bit to the right without agenda. So many of us are used to this context of being on the mat or in movement and thinking about needing to stretch. That's not actually why we're here today. And I'll explain that as we go. So you're going to tilt a little bit to the right, and maybe you start to feel a little bolder with each repetition. And you come back to the center. We're going to just continue to do that with a nice soft breath. With a nice soft breath. And I'd like for you to go until you feel some resistance. Maybe it feels tight, or maybe it hurts, or maybe you're just scared, or maybe you find you're holding your breath and you say, oh, that might be far enough, and then come back to the center. Let's do that a couple more times, and let's not exceed that range of motion that you've just discovered, where there is a resistance there. And you'll say, I'm going to honor and respect this resistance and its right to exist. I'm not here for a stretch. I'm here to experience. I'm here to pay attention. That's what we do in somatic work. Just one more, please. One more over to the right. And then back to the center. And then please do uncross. Uncross, landing 2 feet flat on the mat. And separate your feet as wide as your mat now. And tilt your knees to the right. It's like a windshield wiper motion. Tilt to the right and come back through center. And both knees tilt, just like your windshield wipers would tilt, right? One doesn't go further than the other. They kind of go together. And you get bonus points for somehow integrating your breath in this movement. And you'll come back to the center and you'll rest for a moment. And I'd like for you, please, to come back to noticing the right side of your pelvis, where your sacrum rests on the floor. And what is the experience there? Is it different? Or is it exactly the same as it was previously? And now please reach your two arms up to the ceiling. Reach your two arms up to the ceiling and press your palms together and commit to soft but straight elbows. So neither of the elbows will bend in a moment. And think of your upper body from your navel to the crown of your head like a barrel. With your right hip pressing into the mat, roll the barrel to the left. Allow the head to turn. Allow the right shoulder blade to pick up off of the mat and return to the center. And just like we did with the legs, when you find that resistance, don't exceed it, honor it, respect it. So as I said, sometimes we get spun up into the story of it, right? Your job here is just to observe. And if we have a left elbow that's bending, we won't get quite what we need out of this. So both elbows are going to stay pretty straight. The right shoulder blade will lift. The head will turn as your barrel rolls to the left. Bonus points for integrating the breath. One more to the side. And this time, just hold there. Again, your head must turn. And as you're holding, relax your neck. Allow the cheek to soften toward the blanket or the pillow. And then return to the center. Return to the center. Let those two arms rest by your sides. And if your feet crept in, it's now time to separate them again. Wide as the mat. And tilt windshield wiper to the right, same side as before. Windshield wiper to the right. So we understand, and this isn't just from me, this comes from scientific evidence that chronic pain is a condition that is no longer about the physical tissues. Yeah. Chronic pain, defined as pain lasting longer than 3 to 6 months, persisting, sometimes getting even worse, is defined as such because it persists past normal tissue healing times. And so we understand that the tissues are no longer playing a major role in the pain. Rather, the nervous system has developed a bit of a pain habit. So, mechanisms that evolved within you to protect you from an injury became embedded. What was once helpful is no longer helpful. And so somatic work like this helps you to start to reprogram. So the next time you're in the center, you're going to stay. And you're going to walk your feet a little closer together, just about hips width. And once again, you're going to notice the right hip, the right side sacrum on the floor. And you're going to notice if everything is exactly the same or if anything has changed since the last time you noticed. Does one side feel heavier? Does your left or right feel heavier? Does one side feel brighter, easier to attend to? And now, once again, those 2 feet are going to come a little bit closer together until they're touching and the thighs are touching. And the right thigh, same thigh, guys, same thigh, is going to cross over the left thigh. No daylight between those 2 thighs. No daylight between those 2 thighs. And you'll take your 2 hands and you'll interlace them behind the back of your head. Interlace them behind the back of your head. And just like before, you're going to tilt your hips, your knees to the right. Let that left hip pick up off of the mat and stop when you first encounter resistance. And this is a sensitive, provocative movement for some people. So if this feels a little too scary right now, I'd like for you to keep your legs tilted, but only imagine the next part, which is where you'll use your arms to lift your head as if you want to bring your chin. Keep the knees tilted to the right, but bring the head to your hip. And you may find this tilt more head and shoulders down. And this time, whether you're imagining this or whether you're actually doing it, your head will lift. Maybe your knees tilt a little bit more to the right. And you lay your head down. And maybe the legs pop up, or maybe they go further to the right. And you'll lift up. And you'll come down. And it's totally acceptable to imagine any part of this or all of this, okay? Very, very little deficit in terms of benefit when we imagine versus actually execute the movement. And next time when your head comes down, you release your hands, you draw your knees back up to the center, and you step your feet wide and you windshield wiper to the right. Go as far as you'd like and rest. Rest. So, how do we reprogram a nervous system that has built a pain habit? We have to give it a good reason to change. And in somatics, that looks like repetition, right? If you're doing something a lot, eventually your nervous system is going to say, I think I need to make this easier. We do it by providing novelty. We perk up those neurons and those synaptic connections, and they say, "Oh, this is interesting. Maybe I should pay attention." Go ahead and bring those 2 knees back up. And this time, bring the feet together and something different. You're gonna cross your left thigh over your right thigh. Left thigh over your right thigh. And you'll take your two arms and just lay them over your chest or cross them, holding opposite elbows or shoulders or whatever feels comfortable to you. And this time, your barrel is all the way from your hips to the crown of your head. As your knees tilt to the left, your whole barrel rolls to the left, and you may feel a little precarious. So take your time. And if it feels too precarious, come back to the center and see if with repetition, you can find more stability in rolling your barrel to the left. This is the magic of the nervous systems. If you're doing something, your nervous system is going to try to find a way to do it efficiently and safely. So once you've found that place where you can actually hang out, roll to the left, roll to the left. I'd like for you to do something really challenging, and that is to bring your right shoulder blade toward the floor. Try to touch it. If it won't quite touch, that's fine. We're going to do this a few times. And then rest to the left. Rest in that hovering to the left position and try to bring the right shoulder blade to the right and feel all those muscles in your back, maybe some that you haven't felt in a while, start to wake up. And many of us experience pain when we first start to wake up things that haven't been working for a while. So it's totally acceptable for you to come back to your back and simply imagine your body doing these movements. So, what's the final element in this somatic tradition for helping to reprogram? It's challenge. It's challenge. It's showing your nervous system, like, here's something interesting for you to really dig into. So, the next time you get that right shoulder blade on or near the floor, just hold. Your knees falling to the left, your head turning with your sternum, which is slightly to the right. And feel some of those twisting muscles that may have been dormant for a minute. And then bring the 2 knees up. Separate the feet, standing wide arms out to the sides. And windshield wiper to the right. And back to the center. So somatic education, it looks a little like yoga, right? But yoga is a practice which is quite holistic. And somatics is as well, except that our primary goal is to train the nervous systems. And in this case, we're training them for less sensitivity around a provocative movement, which is twisting. Okay, this time as you come to the center, windshield wiper to the left. Oh, yes, finally, yeah. And to the center and to the right and to the center and to the left. So you're just going to alternate sides here. Alternate sides here with the breath. And so often when we have a nervous system that has a sensitivity habit, we stick toward it. But my friend, this is not ideal because the nervous system is just trying to protect you. It's not your enemy. It's your greatest ally. And so we find ways to gently remind it that you're safe, that movements like twisting are safe and comfortable, and that they belong in your life. Next time you're to the left, you're going to stay, you're going to hold. And you're going to take a small sip of breath into your collarbones. Without exhaling, take another sip of breath into your ribs. And without exhaling, one more sip of breath into your low belly. And then exhale from the low belly, ribs, collarbones. Do it again. Collarbones, sip. Ribs, sip. Belly, sip. Exhale from the bottom to the top. Let's do 2 more rounds. Inhale, collarbones. Inhale, ribs. Inhale, low belly. Finally, exhale from the bottom to the top. Last time. Sip without exhaling into the collarbones, the ribs, the low belly, and exhale from the bottom to the top. Return to the center. Stand your feet at a comfortable distance or keep them wide and tent your knees. Arms in a comfortable position. Notice the right side of the pelvis. Notice how it's resting on the floor, the weight of it. Is it in shadow? Is it in light? Notice the left side of the pelvis. Maybe it feels bigger, wider. And when you're ready, you'll stretch out a little, maybe wriggle your fingers. Take your time rolling to the side of your choice. And then into your hand so that you can rise up.